No worries. Hey, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Habits of Health Book Club night. So happy that you are all joining us. We are going over the introduction, Beating the Odds, tonight. And I personally really loved this section, even though it's just the introduction. I think it gave a great segue of what we can expect through this book. Lots of good information. I'm super excited to hear kind of what you guys have taken away or out of this part. Who is wanting to hop on and share for us first? Yay, Kat. Yes.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have experience, you guys, this is my third time on program. This is actually only my first time on program because the other two times I only ordered food. And so like where it says on 25 right there that, you know, beautiful little chunk, 85% of people who go on a diet without behavioral support gain the weight back within 2 years. That was me within like 2 months of stopping eating the food. I did absolutely no life book. I was not in with my coach, and I did absolutely have no community around my health. So my habits of health were like 5 and 1 until I would fail and not answer the phone when my coach was calling because I was embarrassed and didn't know what to do. And so really digging into the life book this time, I've had success with the weight loss, right? Eat the food, you lose the weight. But like going through, we're in the intro in the habits of health, page 24, I think. But going through and being in the life book and getting integrated and learning how and like why I'm eating the food in the first place and what to do with those. I mean, I don't plan on gaining the weight back within 2 years, although anything goes, right? This is my health journey, but I know like program is 100%, 25% to each of our legs. And I was on a 25% program before. So leaning in for the rest of the 75% this time has made a world of difference.
Nice. Thank you so much, Kat. That's absolutely it. Like, it doesn't matter how many times we stumble, right? Or how many times it takes us. It's our journey, and we go with the flow as much as we can, right? Make those changes. On the first page here, I highlighted a part of it that I thought was really impactful. And it says that weight is a factor in the fact that almost half of all adults are suffering from some form of cardiovascular disease, including heart attacks and strokes, as well as high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, some cancers, gastrointestinal problems, including gallbladder disease, osteoarthritis, poor bone health, and breathing problems, including sleep apnea and asthma. So who else was impacted by that? I mean, I'm thinking of at least 10 people in my family right now that have had all of these types of issues. And just knowing that it's kind of pinpointed out, you know, I mean, it kind of hit me hard personally. Does anybody else have anything off of this first page that really, you know, walloped them one?
No, and I know.
Well, the whole reason I joined program, honestly, was because I had weight onset diabetes. And so I remember 2 years ago, well, over 2 years ago now, calling Misty crying because I needed to figure something out. So just those words, Misty, you talking them out loud again, made me very emotional. Not only did I have diabetes, I have sleeping problems. I had asthma, which is now gone. Which is funny. I always used to say, I can't work out because I get asthma, you know, but now it's like, I can actually work out. I can walk, I can do stuff because I don't get winded all the time. And I know I was well on my way to so many other things, heart disease, stuff like that, because that runs in my family. So that's very impactful for me.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, just thinking of all of everybody's stories, you know, especially when we talked about our why in the life book last week, you know, I mean, really thinking about where we've come and where we're evolving from, you know, it just, goes to show how much more important these books are, for one thing, to bring awareness, but also, you know, the steps that we're taking to change our own health is kind of rippling out to those around us as well, right? I mean, you think about just the impact that we could potentially have or do have on our family because we made a choice to change and that kind of thing. So very cool. So anybody else have any takeaways from the first couple pages? I kind of like to go just a couple pages at a time, if that's all right, just so that we kind of have a little bit of fluid and we don't miss anything, any big takeaways from people.
I
Hey,
have
Misty,
a
this is
little.
Tony.
Oh, go ahead, Tony.
Oops, sorry. I don't have the book with me, but just what you read out, Misty, is the reason why I joined program. I have a very strong family history of diabetes, heart disease, sleep apnea, everything in my family. And when 2019, when I started program, I'd hit the wall where I said enough was enough. My mom had just had a heart attack. My dad had 5 stents in, and I said, I can't do this anymore. And quietness cut. My husband didn't really say that he was concerned about me, but he was concerned about me because I was putting the weight back on that I had tried so hard to lose. And I was miserable, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So that was my biggest why. And I'm really praying that I broke the family history of heart disease and diabetes, and I've bypassed that. And so I'm proud to say that I'm now at the tiniest I've ever been my entire adult life, losing 115 pounds, and I'm hoping to maintain it. I've been maintaining for 7 months.
Absolutely, Tony. Thank you so much. I love that.
What I was going to share is that on page 26, it shares habits are responsible for almost 50% of every action you make every day. And so I think that so many of us can relate to kind of what Catherine was saying, right? Like 5 and 1 is the easy part, really. But until we get into the book and the workbook and the community and creating things, even like having this call as part of our weekly habit to stay engaged and why we were here in the first place, to think that habit is 50% of what I do, that's crazy. I mean, it's real, but it's kind of crazy to think how many of us have pretended like forming healthy habits that align with our goals aren't important. So if you're still there, you're normal. But I'm glad you're here because this is going to help.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Dr. Anderson says, you know, that, let me turn this page back to where we had it. It says, how bad we are overweight is due to our ever-changing world, you know, trying to keep up with the busy. And those are where those habits have come into place, right? So if we're working on changing our habits, then, you know, I think that there's some way or forms too that we're going to also change our world, what's going on in our current world right now. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and go on to the next part here where, you know, page 27, 28, anybody have anything in there that they would like to share?
I actually wanted to share a takeaway that I got from the paragraph just below the one Anna shared.
Yeah.
Where it says, when we analyze our choices across the whole spectrum of our day, it becomes apparent that we spend most of our time sleepwalking through the decisions that we make. And that one like really got to me because it reminded me of the fact that I was in the military for 15 years. You know, I pretty much did what people told me. I just followed along. I read the directions. I did what people told me. And that's kind of how I've been approaching my nutrition, my health, my diets. I read what people tell me and I do it. I don't look into why or how this affects me or is this even right for me? I just do it. And that's where I was failing myself so much with program, like having the resources, not only just my coach, the book club, the Facebook page, all the Pinterest pages, you know, the workbook, and actually having to think about why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. It's really like making me stop and say, wow, like, you know, I've been approaching this all wrong the whole time. And I don't blame myself because I'm acknowledging it now. And to be able to have that acknowledgement, it's like, okay, I can only grow from here. And that, I think that's one of the great things about having this program. I have a great coach who's, who I actually is also one of my coworkers, and she, checks in with me every week and will ask me if there's things she can do to help me. So I have a stronger support system than I've ever had with any other program. And I've been finding I've had quite a few stumbles. A lot of it has had to do with me losing my mother in April. I'm still trying to find, I have days where I'm good, and then I have days where it's just really hard to even want to do anything. So, and I don't, my coach tells me, she's like, you have in 3 hours, you can just make, you can start over in 3 hours. Not have that mindset. I'll start back over on Monday, like a lot of us used to have before. Now it's okay. 3 hours from now, I have the choice to make another good, healthy meal decision and just keep moving forward.
I love that. I love that, Maria. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think that there's so much power behind everything. Kim, did you want to say something? Go ahead. She must have just come off mute for a minute there. I like that sleepwalking factor in there. Dr. Anderson talks a little bit about how we have quadrants, right, of how we kind of process things. And when we first start out, we're doing things unknowing, right? We're making these choices just in action, and that sleepwalking part. And then we go to the next part where we're actually aware of it, but we're still making those not the best decisions. Right. And then it just kind of moves on to eventually where we're going to be making the healthy choices without realizing it. And that's I guess, I don't know if you can put a healthy sleepwalking term in place, but I mean, we could put it there if we wanted to. So awesome. Thank you so much, Maria. Anybody else have anything else that they would like to share? Let's go ahead and move on to the next couple pages.
There was something on page 27 that I highlighted and underlined, and I might have even shared it a couple times, but when he talks about our individual health, and there's one central caveat to success, and that's you. And it's the biggest thing that my grandma used to say is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And so when I'm doing health assessments, I, really put emphasis on, are you ready to do this? Are you ready to put in the work? I mean, yes, it is, the program is easy, but it's up to you to do the work. I can't do it for you. And so that really, really struck me as, your willingness to make a decision, take individual responsibility for your success. If you're prepared to do this, then it'll work. And that's basically it, the predictable transformation. And kind of when it goes back into, bad habits, it's, it works if you work it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that, Rebecca, because on page 28, the next page, I highlighted a very similar sentence where he says, success or failure is still dependent on you. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I think, at least for me personally, it's very easy to blame circumstances or people in my house for bringing foods in, or my mom for tempting me with something because she baked it and suddenly it's her fault because she baked me something I liked, versus me just acknowledging I personally get to make that choice every 2 to 3 hours about what I put in my mouth. And it really is nobody else's fault. Whether or not those temptations are around me, ultimately, it's my decision to make a good decision. So that ownership is not always fun, in my opinion, although really powerful once we can come to terms with it. It really is just us. And there should be nothing, I say should be, that's kind of harsh, but really, if our why is strong enough, then hopefully there's nothing that can tempt us enough. And we can't blame anybody for our decisions if we're really focused and clear on why we're doing it. But I don't like accountability.
That's awesome, Cindy. On page 27, I have highlighted there too that as long as you continue to apply the principles outlined here, the changes will be permanent. And that's just a reminder, especially for me, because I hit my goal weight. Like I hit where I wanted to hit. And then life happened and I've gained 40 pounds back. You know, I'm working on, I guess now I have to lose 36 pounds instead of 40, but just saying. But still, you know, I mean, these changes will be permanent as we practice them, as we implement them, and always keeping, Cindy's my coach, you know, she's always like, okay, you've got to keep that next health goal in mind. Like what's next, right? You can never disconnect from your health, because that's when things start sliding backwards and we start gaining back, or old habits come back, and we've forgotten all of a sudden our tools and what was working before. So awesome. Anybody else have anything to share? We can flip a couple pages forward here, do 29 in between 29 and 31. I would love to hear if somebody has anything marked on page 31 about the different parts. I have a few things highlighted in there too, where it says part 1, preparing for your journey, part 2, your journey to optimal health and well-being, and then part 3 is the keys to longevity. I guess on the sidebar here, I put, and next to each one of them, I put tools as part 1. What are your tools, right? Identifying what your tools are. Part 2, to me, is action. What am I putting into process? What action am I following up on? What am I doing? And then part 3 is knowledge. How much knowledge am I actually absorbing and keeping, you know, and then it kind of goes back to those things, the application and using my tools, right? To me, it's kind of like this circle that just keeps going around.
So one thing I did highlight in part 1 was in the very last small paragraph there, when he talks about the habits of health transformation system, and it says it'll help you realize you are no longer focusing on problem solving, but organizing your life around what matters most with the tools that will help you accomplish it. What that put in my mindset was when I've told myself several times, I have to lose weight. So I'm trying to solve the problem of being overweight, but I'm not understanding. I understand it's for health reasons, but what is really the reason? Is it because I'm, you know, like, for example, I've been told that for my BMI, my height, weight, I should be 150. I'm not happy at 150. I don't, when I was in the military, I had to abide by a certain standard and it had to be a certain weight. And if not, they really made you feel like you were not cutting the mustard. And for me, to find a weight where I'm happy and content and I feel like myself and I'm healthy and I'm operating, in the best way that I can, that's important to me. It's not, fitting in a box that everybody says I should fit into, or that a size I should always be. I think that was one of the things that when I left the Army that I was the happiest for, that I didn't have to feel like every 6 months, oh my God, they're going to tape me. They're going to think I'm overweight. I've done some crazy things to have to lose weight. I mean, you name it. I've done diuretics, sauna suits, wrapping myself up in plastic wrap and preparation H. I've done it all. And it's all because I felt that I had to fit into a certain box, but not understand why. And having this to know that I'm not just trying to, shoot the can off the fence, and I know why I'm doing it, and I'm understanding it better and getting why the pieces all fit together, that makes sense to me. That makes way more sense to me now.
Sorry, dogs are being Henri, that was awesome. Maria,
I thought he was just agreeing with me.
yeah, he is, right? For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, how often do we do that to ourselves too? Put ourselves into these packages or these expectations upon ourselves that are just like, right? All right. So anybody have anything else they would like to share on that?
Well, the whole section, the whole introduction, it seems like it's kind of teeing us up for, what to expect here. We're getting prepared. We have the tools. We have the action plan laid out. And we're getting the knowledge that we need, like Misty was talking about. And what I hear overall, just in between everything that I hear, is intentionality, intentionality, intentionality. I think Maria even touched on that a little bit a little while ago. It's like, where can we be intentional in our lives? And this book is really teeing that up for how we can apply that in everything and not just our health. And I actually like what Maria was talking about there, where, everything I read here just kind of speaks to me like a GPS in a car. One of the very first things, the very first section, new guiding principles for your life. The goal of optimal health and well-being will determine your actions. That's the first thing under a heading in this book. So, what does it mean? It means we pick the goal and we have it out there. That's what element 1, 2, and 3 in our life book are going to be all about, is what is the goal? Where are we going? It's not about being perfect. We're going to have deviations. We're going to have detours. I was just talking with someone today. I'm like, if you put in your GPS where you're going, it doesn't matter if there's a roadblock. It doesn't matter if there's an accident. It doesn't matter if you run out of gas. You need a detour over here to get some lunch. You still know where you're going. And I think that's what Dr. Ray is just screaming at us here in this introduction is we have the tools. We can make this work. You are going to have everything that you need to become the primary driver in your own outcome. So I think it's just teeing us up really well for, what's coming next.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. I couldn't agree more. Anybody else have anything else they would like to share? This section was, I think, pretty powerful, short, but in the same breath, there's a lot of good stuff in here, and just understanding kind of the preset of where we're going, like Eric said. So absolutely. Anybody else have anything else that really hit them that they want to share?
Cindy's got a hand up. You can come
Go
off
ahead.
mute.
Yeah.
Wait, me? I have a hand up?
No, Cindy Dexter.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Eric touched on something that I actually have, that I deal with a lot of stress in my life. It has been that way for many, many years. And it's probably going to be that way for a while, to be honest. But the idea, because I read further in the book too, because I've been going back and rereading. I've been on this plan for years. I mean, years. And I lost 60 pounds at the beginning, and then gained almost all of it back, and then lost, almost got to my goal weight again. Went on vacation, came back and ended up with 2 deaths in my family. Ended up back. So stress is huge. And I read this one part that actually really excites me, and Eric touched on it. And it says, when the participants were subject to stress, the part of the brain responsible for self-control began to shut off, leading participants to value taste and gratification over health. And that hit me so hard, because that's me in a nutshell. As soon as I get stressed in my life, the first thing I go for is the taste and the gratification of food, or alcohol for that matter. And if I could only just keep it the grasp of my health, I think that'd be huge. And I love this program. I've been on it forever and I love it and I keep coming back. So it works. It really does work. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Cindy. You're right on point. And back to the analogy with the GPS, it's like the difficult thing for us to realize is if we do take a wrong turn, we could really limit what's going on. And people ask me all the time about Christmas and the holidays coming up. It's like, it's really not about what you eat between Christmas and New Year's. It's about what you eat between New Year's and Christmas. So when we have these detours, we have stress come at us or whatever, we've got our GPS, we're just looking back. Okay, that's where I was heading. I've gotten off course a little bit, but if we just really stay focused on that, we can turn and start heading back in the right direction. And honestly, guys, I mean, the damage we can do in a day or a weekend or even a hard month is really limited if we'll just stay focused on where we're going. And I think that's what, the first few elements in the life book, which goes with this, are really going to work with us about. So pay attention to that bit, everyone. I know element 1 through 3 can be a little challenging. Hopefully you guys are in both book club. We're alternating each week, but keep that in mind because it really helps. That's why he starts out the book with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Cindy, for sharing. I've been blessed to be a part of your journey and you've come milestones, my friend. So keep that in your forefront there. But now we're going to go ahead and transfer this over to the fun part in addition. And Erica's going to take over and do our drawings. Thank you all for joining. And it's been a pleasure listening and hearing you guys share too. Go ahead.
All right. Can you guys see my screen? Make sure. All right. Perfect. All right. I'll shuffle them up and we'll spin.
Yay, Tabby!
Yay! Woo! Cindy, do you want me to write these down or are you writing them down?
I'll write them down. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Second spin.
Oh, I'm so excited. Awesome. $25 in wellness credits getting applied to your account tomorrow. So yay for that. Next Monday, we are on to the life book and we are in element 2 next week. I had to look at my life book to remember that. So element 2 of the life book next Monday, same place, same time. Otherwise, I'm glad everyone joined and participated and that you guys are so willing to open up and share with all of us because there's something powerful that happens when we can come together as a community, kind of like Kat Matt mentioned at the very beginning. So thanks for joining and we will see you guys next Monday. Have a good night, everyone.
Bring a friend.
Yes, bring a friend next time. Love that idea. Bye, everyone.